It felt absolutely comfortable performing for the first time on stage with my ultimate ears. Honestly, as soon as the performance started, I didn't think about it once. And that's exactly what you want out of an in-ear monitor. Like literally I went out there, I was like, okay, I hope these things work, because, you never know. And I got out there and honestly, I didn't think about it one time during the whole performance. Like, I was just comfortable. And that's exactly what you look for in that type of a product, I believe. Sonically, I heard a great balance. The previous monitors that I had was a 3-driver as well, as are the UE7s. But they were 2 low and 1 high. Versus with the UE7, it's a single low, single mid, and a single high. So honestly, like my voice came through so much better and more transparent, I feel like, and it wasn't as bright, And I still had the right amount of low end. Like everything was warm and full, and I wasn't struggling to hear anything. It felt comfortable and natural. It was just a great balance, and I was really happy with it. It didn't take long at all for me to get used to using the in-ear monitors. I've been using wedges since I was 16 years old, and that was always the staple, but there's always the trade-off, like sometimes you can get a wedge to sound really good and be happy with it, but that's rare. That's not the norm. Like, the norm is you struggle to hear yourself, and by the second or third song in, when the band starts picking up, you lose yourself, and then you're screaming and you're over-singing, you lose your voice a little bit. With the UE7s, like, I never struggled with that. As soon as I go for a high note, I could feel as soon as I was about to go over the edge of like, I'm pushing too hard or going too far, and I knew when to pull back because I could hear everything that was going on with my voice. I could hear where it was at, I can feel where it was at, and it gave me so much more control and ability just to perform, at the best of my ability in the moment. Tips that I can give, new artists looking into the world of in-ear monitors is go for the best model you can afford and the best sound quality. Don't always think, okay, well, if this one is $1,200, it's got to be a better sounding version. You have to understand going into it that you have to know what you're going to use them for. You have to know what you're going to need them for, and go in with that mindset and listen to all the different models and really base your opinion on what you get in your ear. Because a lot of people nowadays, they think, oh, well, if this set's $1,300, it's got to be better than an $800 version or something like that. If it comes down to money or drivers, a lot of people get wrapped up in, I feel like, the amount of drivers and things like that, which I really don't think makes that big of a difference in a sense of like what you need. Of course, if you're a drummer or you're a keyboard player, you're going to need more drivers because of all the frequencies and things and the depth of patches and things like that. But you just have to be cognizant of what your role in music is. If you're a singer, I would recommend the UE7 Pros because they sound amazing for that. And if you're a guitar player, I think as well. I think they just hit all the right sweet spots in the mid-range because of course they're both mid-range, like vocal type instruments. And that's the most important aspect of picking an in-ear monitor. And going into it, I think, because when I first entered into the world of custom in-ear monitors, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I went in there like, I'm not sure what to do. I listened to a couple and I'm like, they all sound amazing, but I didn't know where I was, trying to go. And I got the wrong set, to start out with, and I was disappointed a little bit, but I'm like, okay, they're great. They sound better than anything else I've ever used, so I'm gonna go with it. And until I got these Ultimate Ear UE7 Pros, like, I didn't know what I was missing. That mid-range driver in these makes a world of difference. It just makes it so much more comfortable when you're out there to just get the job done. Using in-ear monitors for the first time, you always want to leave them both in. It's a learning experience, like it's like anything else, it's like a new pair of shoes. You have to break them in, you have to get used to how they feel, how it's going to be. But the one thing I really enjoy about it is that between different rooms that you go to, there's an ambience thing. When you play in one room one night, it sounds great. You could play in the same room the next night and it doesn't sound the same, like it always changes. But the nice aspect of in-ears is that it sounds the same every night. And consistency is key when it comes to, performing and having to, step your game up and go out there and be yourself and be in a high-stress environment. And yes, I noticed a huge improvement in my performance and my ability to sing. Like, I'm a very loud singer. And having the UE7s on stage the last couple of performances just allowed me to, when I get to the top and sometimes you go too hard, too far, it allowed me to catch that moment before it happened. Because it gave me such a clear representation of what my voice was doing and what the music was doing. And it just allowed me, to be comfortable and not think about it. And of course, that's what we want to do. We want to go out there and literally just not have to think about anything other than what's happening. Now that I have the right tool with these custom UE7 Ultimate Ear in-ear monitors, I feel like from this point forward, my performances and my singing on stage and in a live mix can do nothing but improve. Because, if you can hear yourself properly and you know where your voice is every day, you can bring it every single time. Instead of, searching for your plugging an ear, turning your head a certain way. There's all these little tricks that singers over time, especially when you do it all the time, there's little tricks that you learn to do to hear yourself in a loud mix. And with these in-ear monitors, you don't ever have that. Nothing ever gets too loud. The cymbals don't cut your ears out, because that's another big thing too. If you play a lot with loud drummers, the cymbals will literally cut your hearing out right away at the beginning of the night. And then your voice doesn't sound the same to you in your monitor the rest of the night, even though the mix is the same. So the fact that you're actually blocking out all those extra loud sound waves from the drums, from the keyboards, and the bass, all that kind of stuff, it's controlled and you get what you need in your ears. It just gives you more control. And I've noticed that my voice has stayed stronger since I've used them too, because, if you can hear yourself, you're not gonna push too hard. So it's been amazing. I'm super happy and grateful and honored to have a company that's so supportive and helpful to their artists. Take your performance to the next level with Ultimate Ears Pro.